everybody. Good morning in America anyway. Good afternoon if you're in Europe. Welcome to HeartMind Happy Hour. I am very, very excited for the show that we have for you today. I am Holly Copeland. I'm a human potential coach and co-founder of HeartMind Alchemy Lab, a vibrant community of biohackers and people around the world who are taking charge of their own health through biotechnology, through nutrition, and through raising consciousness. And it's this wonderful eclectic blend of kind of all of that coming together. We've got some really interesting posts recently, that varies from some alien posts that Stephen Altair made, and consciousness raising and connecting to, heart rate variability, to sleep. It's really an eclectic group. And I think, but very intelligent and very kind. And all of it is in serious, real self-discovery and exploration. And so I think that what we have today is a perfect complement to that. So we're going to talk about sleep with some experts in neuroscience and biotechnology. We've got Su Zanne, who's a project manager for Su Zanne Ong, sorry, should say that, who's a product manager for URGONight. And she's been in the healthcare industry for about 7 years and brought this technology to me. She's been on HeartMind Alchemy Lab for about a year and came and said, hey, I have something really exciting and I'd love to share it with you. So welcome, Su Zanne, to the show.
Hi, and thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. And then also Emma Touré. Oh, I bet I mispronounced that.
That's perfect.
Okay. Emma Touré who's a scientific project manager for URGOnight. And she's a pharmacist and who specializes in neuroscience and does neuroscience research, and which I just think is so fascinating. So I'm really excited to have her on the show as well. Welcome, Emma.
Thank you, Holly.
Yeah. And so today we're going to be talking about a new product that was launched by Ergo, which is a French company. So both Su Zanne and Emma are located in Paris. And I'm just going to say from my personal experience, I went to Switzerland in 2019 and had an opportunity as I was traveling through there to go into the pharmacies. And as an American, it really struck me how different the pharmacies in Europe are. And I saw like technology like David Delight, so light goggles and sound. I saw lots of homeopathy. I saw just the types of technologies that work with the energy system in the body and like URGOnight. And so I just personally feel like when I look to Europe and see what's being developed there, I'm very hopeful and encouraged by all that. And so I feel really excited about URGOnight. And one of the things that Su Zanne and Emma are going to really talk about today is how how this company, Ergo, all the products that they're developing are based in, have a foundation of evidence-based research science. So they're really trying to bring products to people that have a real strong foundation and grounding in science. And Emma in particular will cover that. But I think that's quite unique. That's these science-based products that are outside of the biochemical system and really affecting the energy system in the body. So I think it's fantastic. And so anyway, so we're going to start with Emma's gonna give us actually a presentation about the product. And let me just say that URGOnight, kind of as an introduction, is a headset, so similar to Muse, which a lot of people in this community are familiar with, but it's just specifically developed for sleep and sleep issues. So, which I think is really interesting. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. We'll learn some about it. And folks, if you want to ask questions, feel free to do that. We'll be monitoring and try to answer them towards the end of the presentation. And then also, Su Zanne has mentioned that there will be a special discount for HeartMind Alchemy Lab members. So we will make that, we'll let you know about that at the end and make that available in the notes too. So really generous offer for them to make that available. So anyway, Emma, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm really, really welcome to the show. So excited to have you here.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Holly, for having us today.
I'm not sure about Emma, but I'm not able to share my screen.
Oh, no, I cannot share it.
Yeah, so I think Holly, you need to provide access.
Thank you. I'm doing that right now.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, so today I will talk to you obviously about URGONight, but mainly about the science between our products. That took us actually a long time, many years to develop to provide actually the best experience for sleep improvement for our users, and that we commercialized not long ago, a few months ago. So I will start with the basics, which is what are the brainwaves and what is the technique that we use that is called neurofeedback. Maybe some of you have heard about it, but I think I will go a bit deeper with sleep and neurofeedback. Then I will present URGONight, our headband, and how the training works to provide a better sleep quality. And then Su Zanne will talk about some feedbacks that we got from our URGONight community that is way smaller than yours, Holly, but we still have already have some contacts with our users, and we are really happy with that. So basics of the basics, what are brainwaves? So the main point is the fact that, as you know, our brain is the center of command of our body and mind, and it takes some messages to be provided. How does it work? Our neurons exchange messages at the end of their axons with the synapses. They transfer these messages between each other, between neurons, and also to the other parts of the body by exchanging some very small molecules that we call ions. Like, for example, in this small video, this is sodium and potassium that you already know, I think. And these very small molecules are charged electrically. So the messages transferred by the neurons are represented by electrical potentials. So what to remember that is important is that our brain activity is actually a constant. So you produce cerebral activity when you are awake, when you are asleep, when you are meditating, and it's really all the time, even if you're not thinking about it. So this cerebral activity is represented by electrical activity, and we can actually measure it since almost 100 years. We can measure electrical activity. So we can measure the brain activity with electroencephalography, EEG, which I will really focus on today, since this is what we do with URGONight. But this is also possible with magnetic electroencephalography, or you can also measure cerebral activity with other techniques such as MRI or NIRS, for example, like some other devices used like MENDI that I think most of you know. So the famous brain waves, they represent electrical potentials, and we have different brain waves that will represent different cognitive states and what we are doing at the moment. So they are characterized by their frequency, which is fixed. So each frequency band is different type of brain wave. So I think many of you already know, we have delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma frequency bands. So the frequency band is really the identity of the brainwave. And then there is the amplitude in microvolts, which we measure that is variable depending on what you're doing. So I try to put a little bit of examples of the brainwaves and some states that are associated. So for example, when you see a lot of delta brainwaves, the slowest ones, it will mean that you are in a deep sleep state. You are really sleeping profoundly. The theta brainwaves will represent, for example, a cognitive load. For example, when you are doing mental calculus, we will measure an increase in your theta brainwaves, or when you are in a state of reduced consciousness, such as light sleep. The most famous ones, I think, are the alpha brainwaves. which will go really crazy when you close your eyes, and that can also have some modulation when you are practicing relaxation or some meditative state. Then the beta brainwaves band, which is a little bit larger, is more representative of a state of focus, attentional, and alertness. Then we have the gamma brainwaves above around 25 to 30 hertz around until the 100 hertz, which are reflective of more complex processes of perception and attention. So my focus today will be on the SMR brainwaves or SensoriMotor, since they are the ones that we will train and that you will learn to produce when you do neurofeedback with URGONight. So the SMR brainwaves are have a frequency band included in the beta bands, so from 12 to 15 hertz. So this is a small band like alpha. What is neurofeedback now? Since we know we can train brainwaves, how does it work? Really, it's important to understand. So neurofeedback is a process that will allow you to learn how to modify your cerebral activity on purpose. So you will learn to take control of your brain activity, and with some practice, you will be able to do it. And the main point is to improve your health or performance. So when I say health, this is, for example, in the case of someone who will have a very handicapping sleep troubles, but this can also be used for improving your performance. So if you're, even if you're healthy, you could use neurofeedback, for example, to improve your attention or to try to get better at memorizing things. And the technique is also used for some sports capacity. So it's very complete, and there are a lot of possibilities with neurofeedback, which is really exciting. So I will highlight one thing that is really important when you practice neurofeedback. You need to voluntarily and consciously change your brain activity. So this is a journey when you need to learn how to do it, how to practice introspection, so you will get better and kind of make the best of your brain. When you succeed into doing this after some practice, after some time, it depends on people. Some people will kind of be really good at it at once, and then some of us will have to practice, like me, for example. When you succeed in producing the right cerebral activity, you will get a reward. For us, that will be in the screen of the mobile application with URGONight. I will show this later. And the rewards will train your brain to reproduce the task better and better. So you will see a progression and you will get better, and then you will see the effects on your health. So now, since we are talking about a product that was designed, as Holly said, specifically to improve sleep, I will go a bit into details with sleep, the brain waves that are involved, and then how can neurofeedback improve your sleep. So as you know, sleep is 1/3 of our life. So it's we spend a lot of time asleep, even if we don't think about it very often. Sleep is very essential. So it's not only essential for our body to recover. For example, your heart and your liver need a break sometimes, so you need to go to sleep. But it's also important for your brain to consolidate what you learned during the day, the memories that you had during daytime. But it's also very, very crucial for other bodily processes, such as to preserve your immunity. So since there is a lot to do during the night, our body during evolution has developed some different sleep stages that are has different characteristics during the night. So we have actually two types of sleep. Non-rapid eye movement sleep, which is kind of slow sleep, which take 3 stages. So the first one is called stage 1, which is when you're falling asleep. So like you're dozing out, but you're not asleep yet. Stage 2 is the stage of light sleep. So you are actually asleep, but you could be awakened if someone like touches you and say, oh, time to go. Then after light sleep, you will go into deep sleep, which is the most restorative state for your body. And then you will go into the paradoxical or rapid eye movement sleep, which is the mostly famous for being the sleep stage where we dream the most. So I think you've already heard about it. So each of the stages has associated characteristics in the EEG, in your heart rate, in your breathing rate, in your muscle activity. And this is really the reflection of the fact that a lot happens while we are asleep, and that all that happens is important. So I will go just a bit deeper into the EEG and the brain activity when we fall asleep. So when you are falling asleep, you will get predominant alpha brain waves, which means that your cerebral activity gets into slower frequencies, since when you are awake, it will be mostly beta brain waves. When you enter the stage of light sleep, or stage 2, which means when you are actually asleep, we will see a majority of theta brain waves and some very interesting characteristic patterns, which are the sleep spindles and the K complexes. I will highlight a bit later the sleep spindles, since these are the brain waves that we target with URGONight. So I put a little image, but we go about this later a bit more in detail. When you enter deep sleep, your cerebral activity continues to get even slower, and we will arrive with a predominant delta brainwave. And it's important to highlight that this is the most restorative stage. So it's important to get a good quality of light sleep, but also deep sleep. During rapid eye movements, sleep, we will see a very mixed cerebral activity with a lot of different frequencies, even if our body is totally still, like you're sleeping like a log. And that's why we call it paradoxical sleep, actually. We also call it rapid eye movements sleep, because we will see behind your eyelids when you are dreaming quick phasic eye movements. So this is very characteristic, and you can see, you could kind of try the experiment if someone is sleeping next to you to try to know in which stage they are with this. So now we'll focus on the famous sleep spindles. So here you have a quick orthography that just takes what I was saying about the different brain waves during different stages. And here in stage 2, we can see one EEG spindle. That's just why they were called like this. And the sleep spindles are brain waves which appear in stage 2. So if you see a spindle in the EEG of someone, you know that they are asleep. We produce them mainly in stage 2 and a bit in stage 3 also asleep. So they are two types of spindles, actually, the slow spindles that can be measured on frontal positions, so above your forehead, and the fast spindles, which are measured in central positions, which we will focus here. Will be focused on here, sorry. And the fast spindles so are measured on central positions, and I will see that it's not a coincidence. This is the same position where we measure the SensoriMotor brain waves that we train with neurofeedback. So why am I talking to you about sleep spindles so much? That is no surprise. They are actually called the sleep guardians, since their role is to disengage our cortex, cerebral cortex, which is our conscious brain response to external stimuli. So for example, if someone turns on the light in the room when you are sleeping, or if someone is talking very loudly in the street and you have very thin windows, if you have the capacity to produce a lot of sleep spindles, this will not awaken you. You will get better sleep quality, and you will get more probability to go into deeper sleep stages. So I take the advantage to talk a bit more about what they can do, because there is a lot of research on sleep spindles these days, since we discovered that they also have very important roles in synaptic plasticity, in the fact that you will learn and process memory during the night, but also during neuronal developments, since we are infants to teenagers, and even when we are adults. So they are very important type of brainwaves, and very studied and also very interesting. So now we go into the big question: how can training my SMR with neurofeedback can improve my sleep quality? So the answer takes all of that I've been explaining, kind of. So when you train during the day with a conscious effort, your SMR, with the technique of neurofeedback and you learn to produce them, you will actually activate your neural plasticity. That was a very amazing discovery when we discovered this. Neural plasticity is the capacity of your brain to actually create and strengthen its connections between neurons so it can actually learn to be better, kind of. So when we train our SMR brainwaves, we will straighten the neural circuits that will produce the sleep spindles. So by training during the day voluntarily and learning how to modulate your cerebral activity, you will give the capacity to your brain to produce more sleep spindles during the night. And as we saw that sleep spindles are the sleep guardians, this will provide you with a better sleep quality. What does that mean? It means that you will fall asleep faster, you will go into the stage 2 faster, you will have more probability to be in deeper sleep stages, you will have less nighttime awakenings, which are very bothersome for some people. So I just put one a little bit more detailed schema. So here you can see the neurons from the cortex. So the one who will get the information, oh, someone is talking very loudly in the street. Then we'll go into the thalamus, which is another neuronal structure. And these neurons, which we will strengthen with neurofeedback, will actually process the information and then tell the cortex what to do. Shall I wake up? Shall I not wake up? When you produce more spindles, you will not wake up and you will keep going with your night and feel more refreshed during the day. So as I said, there has been a lot of research on neurofeedback since the 70s, and particularly on SMR neurofeedback for sleep. It started more than 10 years ago. So I put 2 examples of studies. So in the first one is interesting because it was on healthy individuals who went to the lab and did their neurofeedback session with the therapist. And it turns out that after 10 sessions, they fell asleep 45% faster. The second one is also very interesting in this study from Cortus and colleagues from 2010, because the subjects who will take part in the experiment actually did this at home with a teleneurofeedback device. So after 20 sessions, they really saw nocturnal awakenings reduced by 53%. So in 2010, we already knew that we could improve sleep with SMR neurofeedback. So now I will talk about what's happening for URGOtech, at least in 2021. We spent 5 years developing a very, very interesting device that we are really proud and that I thank you, Oli, again, so that I could talk to you about today, which is URGOnight. And let's go, let's do it. So what is URGOnight? It's a daytime sleep training. So it's really important to understand that you do not have to wear anything to bed. You train during the day. There is our EEG measuring headband, and it's paired with the mobile app. So the headband will measure your EEG, and the app will provide you with neurofeedback, customized brain exercises. One session is approximately 20 minutes, and we advise to do it at least 3 times a week. So you will see results pretty quickly. You can train every day if you want to, but it's only allowed to do 1 session per day. So because your brain needs obviously a night of sleep to process what has been learned and what has been done during your training. And I will also mention that URGOnight does not transmit any electrical stimulation or magnetic stimulation, so it's a safe device to use. So let's see our headband. Here you can see it on the picture. We have 4 electrodes. So the 2 electrodes which go behind your ears, on the bones behind your ears, the mastoids, or the reference and electrical ground. And the 2 measuring electrodes are here on the top, on C3 and C4. These positions are the central positions where we measure the SMR and where we measure the spindles. So the headband does not send anything, as I said, it's just measuring your EEG in real time. Then it will transform your raw EEG into frequency EEG, so we can treat the SMR band for your training. And I will also mention that we use dry electrodes, which are gold-plated, so you don't need to wash your hair or anything after using URGOnight. The EEG is sent with Bluetooth low energy in real time to the app. This was a really big challenge for us, how to get a very fine signal, EEG signal, and to transmit it in real time with a Bluetooth to a mobile application. So this was a lot of work. And the other work was on the neurofeedback training algorithm that you can customize during your training with the mobile app. So now I will just provide a bit more detail about the neurofeedback in itself with URGOnight. So as I said, the headband that you adjust on your head size will measure your EEG, transfer it to the app, and you can visualize your cerebral activity in real time on the app screen. That is really important. Then when you produce the SMR brainwaves after practicing a kind of introspection, after following the instruction on the app, seeing when the gauge is up, oh, I produced SMR, what is the best strategy for me? This is kind of internal work. When you produce when you produce more SMR waves and that you gain control of your activity, you will get rewards in the app. So you will get the sound, the animation that will progress. And this is the process that will trigger the reinforcement and the neural plasticity in your brain. That is kind of when you are trying to teach your dog how to give its paw. This is called operant conditioning. You will get a reward when you do something that you produced a conscious effort to do. And this will condition after your brain to do it better, and you will get better and stronger and produce more spindles. So we also know that, and research mainly showed that it's important to provide the best feedback and the best reward, because if I give you a reward but you do not like it, you cannot be conditioned to progress with it. So in the app, we implemented visual feedback and also an audio feedback that is, it is possible to customize. So I will give the speech to Su Zanne, who will show you in exclusivity the training screen and what we can do to personalize it. Thank you.
Yes. You guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hold on. Do you see a PowerPoint at the moment?
No.
I had shared it just now.
Try again. I think it popped up for a second.
Yeah.
Now?
Yes, I see it.
Yeah. Okay, so Emma was talking about how we customize our training or what type of feedbacks that we have, right? So before I do that, we're going to watch a very short example of what happens during URGOnight training. Here we have a screen, and while you're producing SMR brain waves, these are the animations and feedback audio that you hear. Basically, what happens is the intensity of your SMR production is visualized through this bar over here on the top left. So the more intensity your SMR waves are, the higher the bar will be filled up. And until it's completely filled up, you get a reward. That reward will be shown in the bar, of course, but also in the visualization and the animation on your screen of the themes that we have. That's your visual feedback on when you produce SMR waves. And just now we also heard the dinging at the background. So that ding is when you completely fill up your bar. That is your audio feedback. So if some of you are familiar with Muse, when you are in a calm state, you have, I think, birds chirping. So that is your audio feedback. Here we decided to provide both visual and audio, so that for some people you can learn a bit faster because your brain is visualizing something. But for some people who prefer just to rely on audio feedback, it's also possible. Then the next question for how the program is customized to your training. The first thing what we do is the difficulty level is actually adapted to you every time you do your trainings. What it does is that before each session, you have to go through what we call a calibration phase. The headband will measure your SMR wave production when you're not training. That becomes your baseline. So what it does is that it measures your baseline at the very beginning of your session. And then our algorithm will give you a threshold, or we could say a level, for you to start your training. So you always start the training at level 1. Your goal is to produce as much SMR waves that surpasses this threshold at level 1. Once you do that, when you are able to produce a lot of SMR waves in a given period of time, the algorithm will increase the difficulty level to level 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you have about 5 difficulty levels at each session. This is so that you are on a constant learning curve. If it's too easy for you, your brain may not be learning. And so every time the algorithm realizes that you are achieving your SMR wave production, it increases the difficulty level. And we always use the high jump as an example, right? You start with a very low bar, and if you can jump over very easily every time, we'll increase the height. So that is what our training does. And not only do we keep increasing the level, we notice that you're not able to produce the SMR waves, it means that it's too difficult for you. And then it will reduce or go back 1 level down. As you can see in the screen, I had produced enough SMR waves to go from level 2 to level 3. It's automatic, it adapts. The goal of it is not only to produce the quantity of SMR waves, but also the intensity, or in scientific terms, the density of your brain waves. And the last point is what we've mentioned before, the visual and audio cues. So this one we saw was a circle. That's one out of the 8 themes that you can pick from. That's what we meant by you can customize to your preference. Everyone is stimulated by different things. So I personally like the iceberg and jellyfish, for example, because they're both themes that provide a slow, relaxing movement. So for the iceberg, it slowly grows from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, or a jellyfish floats and it disappears when I produce SMR waves. So it really just helps you in your stimulation of SMR brainwaves. And of course, you can also choose 7 different types of audio sounds. The ding that you hear, for some people like crickets or shooting stars. It's really, really to help you achieve as much SMR waves as possible. Then most of you will be asking how long are the programs? So we have, the program lasts for 40 sessions. It's not limited to 40 sessions, but we propose a 40-session program because that's how the studies have shown to have long-term effects. So we recommend doing a minimum of 40, but you're not limited to that. You want to do 60, 100, be my guest. It's very, very encouraged. The first few sessions are like to get yourself familiarized with the app and finding your technique. So this is something I will talk a bit about later. And usually on average around the 20th session, you may notice and start noticing the effects on your sleep with the training program. We say 20 is an average because we've heard people that have seen effects after 10. Personally, I saw effects after 30, and we even have a user that saw effects after 40. So it really depends on each individual's learning pace. Everyone learns at a different pace. And so this is what I meant by finding your technique. So what we saw in the previous slide was when you produce SMR waves, you get a feedback, right? Then the question would be, how do I produce those SMR waves? So I think it's kind of like also the meditation part where you need to really find different techniques. Each individual is different, that you see that you stimulate SMR brainwaves. We have given about 4 as a rough idea, maybe using breathing, focusing on a point, emptying your mind, or just imagining yourself lying on a beach with a pina colada in your hand. So anything that, I don't know, relaxes you, makes you happy. You have to keep, it's a trial and error process. And that's why we say it takes about, maybe some people are lucky, but it takes around 5 to 20 sessions before you actually find what works best for you. And then you can stick to it and start practicing. So I'm just going to end off with what we've noticed so far with our URGOnight users. So Emma has mentioned that we launched just recently. It was around October, so about 3 months, but we have been, it has been 4 to 5 years of preparation for our product. And so we've been very lucky, about 800 users. And the first user feedback that we have received so far is that they have less nighttime awakenings, just like the study has said. And even though they wake up at night, they're able to get back to sleep faster. They have also shorter time to fall asleep, and their sleep time has increased. So that's really good feedback for us. But what's more important, as Holly has mentioned, we believe in evidence-based medicine. So we have read all the bibliography and research on how SMR and sleep spindles are associated. We've done tests on the quality of signal detection on our product with products in neurofeedback clinics. The last step is actually proving that URGOnight helps in improving sleep. So Emma, probably if you'd like to share, but we have ongoing studies, clinical trials in the Netherlands. We're about to receive the final results soon, and hopefully we can share them with you. The preliminary results were very promising, so we're very happy about that. And also I think we're doing a multi-center clinical trial in France soon. Good job, Emma. And I think we'll be launching one soon in the US as well. So we have feedback from our users, but we also would like to have concrete results from trials. One thing we've also heard from users is that, like I said, it takes time to find your technique. And what we've noticed the best so far is introspection. You really need to, instead of finding a technique, using it and then seeing if you have feedback, somehow just let yourself go. And if you do get feedback, see what actually you're doing or what actually you're thinking that is producing those SMR feedbacks. So it's another way of looking at things. And the last one is, I love it. So personally, I feel the same as well. Maybe some of you who meditate can correlate, relate to it. When you produce those SMR waves and you have a lot of the feedbacks, you kind of get into a zone. And it's something amazing to feel. It's that you're here but not here kind of moment and feeling. And the last point is our software algorithm, the way it has been designed, is very much based on how people experience clinical neurofeedback in the clinics, about how your difficulty levels are changed. So in a clinic, the neurofeedback specialist will be the one manually increasing or decreasing the difficulty level for you. We provide a score at the end of the session, but the score is only relevant to that session itself. So remember I mentioned there was calibration phase. So actually level 1 today is not the same as level 1 tomorrow. And so people have a hard time kind of seeing progression in their training, but that's not the point. The point is for you to practice and train and find ways to produce SMR waves. So we know that, we've taken that into account, and we're improving our app every day to make it a great product, not to bring clinical neurofeedback into the home of people. So that's about it from my side. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Su Zanne, and thank you, Emma. That was a fantastic presentation. Yeah, that was really, both of you, that was great. I've got the screen up here, so I'm able to look to see if there are any questions. I don't see any so far. Maybe I'll just make some comments, Su Zanne, on your last observation about modifying the app to make it more show more progression. Interesting, as I'm a MindLift neurofeedback specialist, I offer that to my clients, and I have found the same thing, that when people don't feel like they're progressing, it's not as optimal. Like, people want to see progression, and sometimes with neurofeedback it can be really confusing because the program keeps adjusting, and I always have to remind people that, like, the program's adjusting, so it's okay. But we're also, many people are so motivated by going from level 1 to level 2 that it's frustrating if we don't feel like we're progressing on. Yeah.
I find people that, I don't know how, but I think everyone has this very self-competitive side of them. They always want to beat their own score. So we keep telling people it's not about the scores, it's about the process.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So let's see. And Emma, I was really interested in so you're running some clinical trials right now, and you're going to have some results hopefully fairly soon to share with folks, but it sounds like they are positive. Is there anything else you can say about the clinical trials that you've run?
I cannot share more than what Susan said. That yes, you can see the smile on my face, so maybe that's a good indication.
Yep.
But yes, we also plan a multi-centered study in France with 4 sleep experts, which we will start in 3 weeks. So we are really excited.
Yeah. If people are watching that are from France, do you have any openings for more people to join, or?
Yes, write to me on Facebook.
Okay, there you go. If you're watching this and do you have to be in France? I know we have somebody from Switzerland watching. Does that count?
No, unfortunately, you will have to be in France.
Okay.
But maybe one day we do a study in Switzerland.
Yeah. Okay. And then you're planning to do one in the United States. I'm wondering if HeartMind Alchemy members might be able to join in that clinical trial if they're interested.
Yes, I think it will be possible. So I could get back to you when we start recruiting.
Fantastic.
Yes, that would be nice.
So I think it would be great. I mean, we have a global audience, so I think it would be great to just kind of keep our audience informed if they want to participate, when you have openings, you basically are about to start a study, and I think that would be
okay. Awesome. Yeah. Yes, the most people can take advantage of trying the device, the best it is.
Fantastic. Awesome. And then the other question that I wanted to just raise is that, SMR training for neurofeedback has been known and pretty well studied in the neurofeedback, scientific community for a while. And it is known for other benefits like increased memory, increased cognitive function, reduced stress and anxiety have all been studied. Yeah. So I know that you're focusing on sleep improvement, but is that something that people could expect if they start using the device, that they might see some of those benefits as well?
Yes, actually, yes. As you said, there are many studies and other applications from SMR neurofeedback. So yes, that would be possible. And we are also working on some other studies to see with specifically URGONight, what can we improve in cognitive functions, memory, anything. We have a research project to look at mainly everything.
Yeah. Oh, great.
We don't want to say if someone in the clinic has done it like this and it had worked, like it will apply to us. We want to prove it before, and then we can share it with our users.
Right. And am I right? Those are the general benefits of SMR, sort of memory, cognitive function, reduced stress and anxiety. And
attention, also improvement.
Right. Yeah. Improved attention. Anything else?
We get some results on motor coordination, with the movements. And there is a lot of research on sportive performance in sports.
Performance?
Yeah. Like precision of movements, these kind of things. Yeah. That's really interesting.
It is really interesting. And I think that, so anybody who buys this device and starts using it could kind of be hopefully getting all those benefits from the SMR training. Yeah. Yeah.
We already have some users that report, something else.
Yeah. And I know I know you're hesitant to say anything about that because your focus is really to put out devices that have back clinical studies that you really believe in. So I honor that you're really focusing on that, but it is, there's quite a bit of scientific research out there about SMR and these other benefits. So I don't feel like it's outside the bounds to say that and let people know. Let's see. Well, I had a great presentation. The sleep spindles and kind of that side of it's really interesting to see kind of how SMR interacts with those sleep spindles. And so, what I'm getting is that the basic premise here is that the SMR training strengthens those sleep spindles, which helps you fall asleep faster and stay asleep. Is that the basic? There's this link between sleep spindles and SMR.
Yeah, it's really, you strengthen the part of your brain that will do the spindles.
Yeah, that's
really, it's really train your brain.
Right.
Okay.
And one other question I was going to ask you as a pharmacist, because you were in your slide about SMR and sleep spindles, you were talking about the GABA neurotransmitters. And so from your perspective, and I feel free to say I don't feel comfortable answering, does taking supplements like GABA also enhance your sleep?
Actually, when you take some sleeping pills that are, medicine, this will increase your spindles.
Yeah.
But this will increase your spindles artificially, so only for the night. You see, so you will not treat the cause, but when people take sleeping pills or supplements, they can see an improved density of spindles and get a better sleep, but they will not train their brain to do it by itself. So that's why you do not get long-term effect.
Okay. That's
doping your brain to sleep, I think.
What's that, Suzanne?
You're doping your brain to sleep.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, even a supplement like GABA, would be, it would be what you're saying is it would temporary effect because you're not actually improving your brain's overall capacity. And that's the beauty of neurofeedback. And this is a question that people have asked me about neurofeedback before, and I'd love to hear your answer, which is, if you do the 40 sessions and you train your brain, and then do you have to keep doing neurofeedback, or is at that point, have you actually learned a new skill? And so you don't necessarily need to keep doing the neurofeedback training?
Actually, it depends on people and your situation. Like you can, technically everyone has the ability to sleep. So if you have lost it before, maybe you can lose it again. If you, I don't know, if you have a very stressful time in your life, a lot of anxiety, if you travel a lot during 6 months, which will not happen right now, you can also need to kind of recalibrate yourself with your training. And some of our users told us, like, I've been doing 30 sessions, I really feel better, but to keep the effect, sometimes some people, not everyone, so I think it's very personal, they would say that they prefer to do one session per week, or just sometimes. Like, I like to use it. It makes me feel better, and also I think it's very reassuring. When you had, when you had sleep troubles, you can get better with the training, and you don't want to lose it.
Yeah, no, I take that to heart. And I think also what we're talking about too is moving from states to traits. So that, like, Stephen Kotler and Jamie Will talk about this in Stealing, their amazing book, Stealing Fire, that we're in meditation practice, which is, meditation is essentially also benefiting SMR brainwaves, which is, I think, one of the reasons why meditation itself works. But we're actually changing our brain. And when we do that enough, it becomes a trait effect. So it becomes the new normal of how we are. But to your point, if you stop doing all those things, all of a sudden, whatever you were doing to change, can you go back if you live a super stressed life? And yeah, you can go back if you're not paying attention. That's how I interpret it, is you can shift, but you also could unshift if you did all the wrong things. So
you get less chance of unshifting if you train. I think like for meditation, like we get kind of stronger and more able to react to our environment, but it's never perfect, but it's just humans.
Yeah. Suzanne, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I think you could see it as like, if you broke your leg and you have to go through physiotherapy, right? And after physiotherapy, you're healed somewhat. Then you break your leg again, and you have to go back to physiotherapy again. So it's really just how committed are you to training and strengthening your muscles, and what do you do after? Do you exert yourself again? Do you hurt yourself again? And you need to rebuild those muscles again. So it's kind of like that. So it depends on each person's lifestyle. So if some of them 40 sessions is enough and they don't have to do it ever again in their lives. But if, like you said, they live a very stressful life and they will have to constantly keep doing it.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, like for me, meditation is, I've changed the state, you know, of my brain to a trait effect, and I practice meditation every day, actually twice a day, to keep those effects, you know, because, well, it makes me, you know, a happier, you know, calmer, more peaceful, you know, well-rounded being. And I'm motivated to keep those effects. So I keep doing the thing that got me there. So, yeah. So it does seem like a good idea to keep training, but you might be able to move away from the device into something else, depending on, you know, some people really like the neurofeedback training. The visual and the sound is very motivating. And so, you know, I would say whatever works for you, if you know, as long as there's some kind of dropping into this, you know, this shifting your consciousness out of kind of a busy mind into a calmer state, whatever tool or technique gets you there. For some people, it's mantra and chanting. For some people, it's, you know, listening to, you know, sacred sounds. There's all kinds of ways that people enter those states. Well, let's see. So I'm sure people are asking one of the questions, which is how much is it and how do I get one if you're watching? And you guys do have an offer for HeartMind Alchemy Lab members. Do you want to share some of that information, Su Zanne?
Yes, so you can go over to our website, read more about the product in detail. So it's URGOnight.com. I think, Holly, we can write it down somewhere in the comment section later. And it's priced at $4.99 at the moment for the US people, US dollars. And for the HeartMind Alchemy community, we're giving 10% discount with the code HMAL10. And so I think there's a question by Conley. She's asking, how can you compare and contrast with other similar devices on the market? So very easily put, first of all, it's a daytime training product. So you don't have to wear it to bed. A lot of other products, you have to use it at night or in bed. And we only do it during the day. We are really focused on sleep. Even just looking at the electrodes, our sensors, as Emma has pointed out, we detect the C3 and C4 part of our brains, which is in the SensoriMotor Cortex area, whereas other devices in the market are often in the frontal forehead area. Here you don't detect a very strong SMR wave, so we're training very different brain waves to begin with. And I think that differentiates us greatly from our competitors in the market. And last but not least, the aim is to actually help you train to have long-term effects. So it's not just treating the symptoms, but the root cause of your sleep issues.
I'm glad you brought up that point about the location of the sensors. And maybe, Emma, would you just talk a little bit about that choice from a scientific point of view to pick C3 and C4 as opposed to the frontal or even, you know, the top CZ?
Well, it was really guided by the SMR. Like we kind of got the proof, like you can train SMR brainwaves, this will make you sleep better. But then the question is, where do you measure them? And this is the best position actually to measure the SMR brainwaves. And for example, if you compare with the alpha, like when you close your eyes, you will get a huge shift, you know, when you use your app that you use it, you can see big variations with alpha. So we can also measure alpha with URGOnight, for example. It's very easy to detect. The SMR brainwaves have a very smaller change in amplitude, you know. So you need to be at the right position. There is no compromise for the SMR.
Okay, interesting.
That's why we are in central position.
Okay, great. And, you know, again, just kind of thinking about other products on the market, to Michael's question, the like MindLift, for example, I, you know, often will have people put an electrode on the SensoriMotor Cortex. And so that's sort of similar. But one thing I note about your product is you guys, it's a one-time fee to buy the device, but there's no subscription. So once you've bought the device, there's no monthly fee. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that, just because. Yeah, it's a one-off fee for the device that includes a free app subscription.
Yeah, and I think that's really unique. I mean, the other examples that I can think of to compare it with are a monthly subscription. And so, you know, the fact that once you buy this device, you have lifetime use is fantastic, I think, for consumers.
And because we're so unique, I don't like to use the word, I did use it just now by mistake. They're not competitors. We are complementary, actually.
Yep.
The other devices do different things. Either they track your sleep, they help you in your meditation, they help you calm, be relaxed, and so on and so forth. From my understanding, the fact that we measure here and here, the C3 and C4, it's really about the sleep.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with you. There are definite benefits to the other devices, and so these are all complementary. And it depends on what your use is. And but this product being offered, you know, for sleep or potentially other benefits of SMR training, you know, at the cost you've provided with no, you know, additional fee. I think it's a really intriguing product. And then the fact that you've got clinical trials and science behind it, it's pretty amazing that your company's come out with this. So I think it's fantastic. Very
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both so much for coming on the show. And like I said, folks, we'll put the show notes, we'll put the code that Su Zanne mentioned and the links to URGOnight if you're interested in getting one. And then I just also want to say, you know, thank you again to everybody on the HeartMind Alchemy Lab community who's been so supportive, who's posting and sharing. It's been really fantastic. Also, I am, as a human potential coach, doing a lot of individual coaching now. So if you're interested in that, I would absolutely love to work with you. Drop me a line at holly@heartmindalchemy.com or go check out my website. I am offering a 20% discount on coaching for HeartMind Alchemy Lab members right now. So love working with folks on, you know, tackling some of these issues from a neurofeedback, neurotechnology point of view, but also, you know, bringing in, integrating nutrition, integrating meditation and awareness-based practices. So really kind of a full integrative approach in kind of my wellness and life coaching. So I'd be really excited to talk to anybody who's interested in that. And yeah, I've got some new workshops coming up. I'm doing one right now on dreaming, which is very relevant to the sleep product with Stephen Altair and Kiefer O'Sullivan. So yeah, keep looking out for more. There's just some great things going on right now, and really appreciative of everybody's support. So well, have a wonderful day. Thank you all for joining. Take care, be well, and we'll see you soon.